For those who have not yet met me, my name is Helena Reichel, Senior School Deputy Principal. I'll be joined later in the presentation by Angela Bartels, who is our VET Coordinator, and VET is Vocational Education and Training. The aim of this session is to take the many pieces of a jigsaw and put them together to give you a clearer understanding of the road ahead for senior secondary schooling. The aims for this session then would be as listed on the screen there. The most important one, I guess, is to demystify often used acronyms. What we tend to do is use these acronyms or abbreviations and with the belief that everyone knows what we're talking about, but this unfortunately isn't always the case. So here are a few of the acronyms that we use quite regularly. I won't focus on ATAR and VET at this point. They will be presented in a presentation in Term 1 of 2023, where they'll have a lot more meaning for you. What we're looking for here is the road ahead. And we know the road ahead is a journey, and that journey has bumps in the road, curves in the road, U-turns, detours, and turnbacks. Secondary schooling probably will have some of these elements in that journey as well. So what we hope to do is that we'll move ahead with optimism and hope that we can minimise and manoeuvre some of these bumps in the road that your young person may come across. There will also be changes ahead. Up until this point, 3.5 years of lower secondary schooling, the students have studied roughly 66% of the week on courses that are compulsory. In senior secondary schooling, this drops to 16%. The only compulsory course is English. The rest of them are courses that the student chooses to follow, mapping out their own personal pathway. What we want is to be able for your young person to stand before the school assembly on the last day of their Year 12 schooling and say that they have completed secondary schooling. This is a photograph of our last year's graduates. Successful completion of secondary schooling is our goal for all students, and we would assume that this is a personal goal that students will set for themselves. To stand before the Kent Street Senior High School community on their last day of school in 2024, that is our goal. However, completion of secondary schooling comes in two important phrases. One is completion of secondary schooling, and the other is successful completion of secondary schooling. So for a student to complete secondary schooling, they will receive from the school's Curriculum and Standards Authority a statement of results. That statement of results will list all the achievements the student has accumulated over the 2 years of senior secondary education, and it provides them with a piece of paper showing their evidence of achievement. But the end game really is successful completion of senior secondary schooling. To achieve this, the students will be awarded the WACE, which is the West Australian Certificate of Education. The majority of students will receive this. However, the WACE is not gifted to students. It has to be earned. And to earn that certificate, students need to meet 4 requirements, which I'll elaborate on shortly. But before I get on to the elaboration of those requirements, I'll just mention a bit of the language of senior secondary schooling. First of all, we talk about courses. In lower school, they're called subjects. In senior school, they're called courses. There are 4 levels of courses that are available: ATAR, General, Foundations, Preliminary. I've highlighted ATAR and General because they're the only 2 courses that we have on offer at Kent Street Senior High School. And each course is made up of 2 units. In Year 11, students study Units 1 and 2 of that course, and in Year 12, Units 3 and 4 of that course. The word course equivalence also comes into one of the requirements, and where that comes from is from the certificate qualifications, because the certificate is made up of units of work called units of competence. Different certificates have different number of units of work. The qualification for that certificate is achieved when all units of competence are completed to a competence standard. So the authority has then determined how many units a completed certificate is equivalent to. So a table later on in the presentation will elaborate on that. The structure of senior secondary schooling is pretty much as the slide shows. There are WACE courses and there are vet studies. WACE courses, as I said, are general and ATAR level, and vet studies can be studied at school or off-site, which is generally through TAFE as a provider. So going back to the WACE achievement requirements. In order to achieve the WACE, students need to demonstrate there are four requirements that need to be demonstrated. First of all, the students need to be on a pathway. That pathway is either an ATAR pathway, which means they've got an intention of heading towards university, or a general vet pathway, which generally means that the students will continue further studies at TAFE. They need to meet the requirements of breadth and depth of study, meet the achievement standard, and demonstrate literacy and numeracy standards. So elaborating on the first requirement of breadth and depth, students need to complete 20 course units or equivalent. The maximum number of equivalence units is 8, and we'll talk about equivalence later on in the slide to give you a picture view of that. There's a minimum of 10 units that needs to be completed in Year 12. And this is to ensure that the 2 years of secondary schooling is a consistent effort over those 2 years, because a student could say that I'll complete 14 units in Year 11 and then have a break in Year 12. That won't meet that requirement of a minimum of 10 units need to be completed in Year 12. Of the 20 course units, 4 units must be from English, and that's 2 units in Year 11 and 2 units in Year 12. And it's not appropriate for somebody to do 4 units in Year 11 and then not do any English in Year 12, because that will then not meet that requirement. And finally, students need to have at least one pair of units from List A, which is the humanities writing rich courses, or from List B, which is the science, maths and technologies. That is a Year 12 requirement. However, we insist that students in Year 11 also choose a List A and List B, because picking up a List B in Year 12 is probably a bridge too far. So what does completion mean? In order for a course to be completed, a student needs to be awarded a grade, anything from an A to an E, because that signals the course is completed. Obviously, an A means it's completed exceptionally well, and an E is limited achievement. In ATAR courses, there's an extra condition to determine whether a course is completed. I won't elaborate on that. I'll talk to that further in the first presentation in 2023. Nonetheless, general courses and ATAR courses, the students can achieve a grade from A to E depending upon the standard of their work. So certificate equivalence, you can see from the table there that Certificate 2 has 4 unit credits towards the 20 units that are the requirement for secondary graduation, for the WACE, and each of those certificate qualifications attracts that number of C grades. However, that will only be awarded if that certificate is completed. So here's a little bit of a graphic to illustrate what completion means. So here we've got a certificate that's got 6 units of work, well, 6, however many there are there, I can't remember. And the tick on the right indicates that that particular unit of work has been completed. And then for some reason, the last unit of work, Unit G, the students decided that they don't really want to do that. By making that decision, that student has then foregone that particular qualification because they have not completed all units of work. So that really would be a negative decision that young person would have made. So the WACE requirement number 2 is the achievement standard. So earlier on I said that a grade of A to E, as long as there's a grade from A to E, then that course has been completed. However, a student must also achieve a particular standard, and the authority has deemed that 14 grades of C or higher is the minimum requirement to meet that achievement standard. Once again, the authority is insisting that students have a consistent effort over 2 years. Therefore, those C grades cannot all be achieved in Year 11 because there's a requirement that they must have at least 6 C grades or higher from their Year 12 studies. And as I said earlier, the equivalence comes from completed certificate qualifications. So how's this course grade determined? Students really need to be aware of the assessment program for each course unit, the school's assessment policy, and also performance in the examinations. It's really important that the students actually know the assessment policy, because there are penalties for late work submissions. So it would be a travesty of justice if a person lost 50% of their marks for a particular assessment because of late submission. So it's really important that the Year 10s now look at that policy and make sure that they're abiding by it for the rest of this year in preparation for start of senior secondary schooling. So homework and study, that obviously contributes to one's achievement. I'll elaborate more on that in the first presentation in 2023. But once again, being aware of the school's assessment policy is absolutely crucial, so that advantage is gained from the effort put into assessments. And finally, literacy and numeracy standards. The students must demonstrate this. Most of the students who have completed NAPLAN have in fact met that standard through achieving band 8 or higher. But if that wasn't the case, then there's an opportunity to meet the literacy and numeracy standard required through sitting the online literacy and numeracy assessment. So this is the benchmark for educational achievement. It's really valued by the employers, and it ensures that the school's students have the best chance of success. If literacy and numeracy standards are not met by the time a student exits senior secondary schooling, they can apply to the authority to sit as a post-Year 12 student. So way back on an earlier slide that it said that the WACE achievement is available, open for a lifetime, this is where this opportunity comes in. So if at the end of Year 12 someone has not met the honour standard in one of the components, they can still sit those exams on an application to the authority, and once they have met the standard, then they can be awarded their WACE. Just recapping the structure of senior secondary schooling, we saw this slide earlier. We've got courses which come under the WACE banner, and vet studies which comes under a registered training organisation, and students can make a choice of their pathways from their intentions post Year 12. So the WACE courses, as I said before, there's List A's and List B's. List A's are as stated there, and List B's are some of the subject areas or course areas that students tend to avoid, and that's why we really need to be mindful of the choices the students make to ensure that they have a List B as part of their suite of studies. The 8R courses are for students who are intending to have a view of applying for university at the end of Year 12, and general courses are for students who are looking to study at TAFE. It may eventually end up at university through an alternative pathway, but that's the basic pathway for students on general courses. So in choosing courses, there is a requirement for students to seek permission to enrol in a language course. At Kent Street, our language is Japanese, so applications for this enrolment are completed online via the student portal, which is on the authority website. More information about that will be given by the Japanese teacher. And based on the information provided, the authority will then determine whether a particular student is eligible to study that particular language. There are also courses that attract a 10% bonus. The following courses which attract the bonus have a final of the final scaled score, can boost their tertiary entrance aggregate and hence their ATAR. An elaboration of that will be given in the first presentation in 2023. But the courses that attract that bonus are maths methods, maths specialist, and a language other than English, which is, as I said, our language here is Japanese. So in making the selection, students shouldn't choose a course because it's got a bonus, because that bonus will count for nothing if the student doesn't have the ability to study, or interest in fact, to study those courses. So vocational education and training, this is where I would like to now pass over to Mrs. Angela Bartels, who will continue with this presentation. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Angela Bartels and I'm the VET coordinator here at Kent Street Senior High School, and today I'm going to be talking to you about vocational education and training and prosperous pathways here at Kent Street Senior High School, just in time for Year 10s to choose their course selections for Year 11 and 12 here at Kent Street. So let me start by talking about vocational education and training. So VET is a nationally recognised qualification, and it enables students to gain qualifications for all types of employment and specific skills to help them in the workplace or in further training. It is highly regarded, and it is always a good idea to have some VET qualification added to your portfolio, and it counts towards your WACE achievements moving forward into your future. So VET will, or the VET courses, in fact, will support WACE and provide C-grade equivalents. A Certificate 2 course will provide 4 C-grade equivalents, and a Certificate 3 or higher will provide 6 C-grades equivalent. So typically, a student who is studying ATAR would want to consider taking 5 ATAR subjects, and to that they would add a general, or they would add a certificate course. A general student may choose 4 general courses and then up to 2 certificate courses should they choose to. We also have endorsed programs. They are specific programs that also add to our WACE achievement, and the programs will provide, we can use up to four C-grade equivalents for endorsed programs. So they could provide a variety of experiences, including things like work experience, workplace learning, perhaps even anything to do with horses. In fact, I've got a bit of a list here that will give you some ideas of what endorsed programs are. So community services can generate endorsed programs and C grades. If you're a member of the Defence Force Cadets, when you do your promotional courses, you bring the certificate into school and we can equate that to a C grade too. Maybe you've done some music exams, lots of things to do with horses as well. All can turn your part-time enjoyment into C grades. And we can start collecting these from Year 10 if you have any of these already. So today we're going to look at to 2025 and beyond. That seems like such a long, long way away, but it will be here before you know it. And having an understanding of what you intend to do beyond Year 12 will help us locate your own personalised, prosperous pathway. So every single one of you that is in Year 10 here at Kent Street Senior High School, when you leave at the end of Year 12, will do one of these things. You'll either go to university, you might go to TAFE, you might get a job, and you might choose to get an apprenticeship or a traineeship. So if your goal was to go to university, then we have a number of universities here in Western Australia, and they're listed on this particular slide. Usually admissions and applications go through the TISC process. We don't need to worry too much about the TISC process in Year 10, and by the time you get to Year 12 it may be a little bit different, but we will help you with that application process if you choose to go to do ATAR and head directly to university. We'll help you along the way through Year 11 and 12 so we can make sure you're on track with that. Now, if you are planning to go to university, there is no doubt that if you want to go direct to university from school, the best way to do that is actually by taking ATAR subjects. And it is your top 4 ATAR scores that are used to calculate your score that will get you in. We at Kent Street request that you do 5 ATAR scores because in Year 10, going into Year 11, you're not really sure which are going to be your best subjects. So we ask that you take 5 ATAR subjects, and this generally gives us higher ATAR scores. So your top 4 are used in the calculation. You need to get a scale score of 50 in English. Scale scores are important. They're not raw scores, they're scale scores. So a scale score of 50 often equates to a raw score of about 65. So it really is important that for you to consider ATAR courses in Year 11, you really do want to be on A or B grades in Year 10, and you also need to have passed your ULNA, and you need to have recommendations from your teachers as well. Otherwise, ATAR is possibly not the right method for you to get to university. But don't be concerned, because there are lots of ways for us to get you there, although we would definitely the best way to get to university is by taking ATAR subjects. So when you are heading to uni, you might want to have a look through the university guidebooks, and they will tell you the courses that are available at various universities, and they'll talk about prerequisites. A prerequisite is a course that you must take in order to satisfy the requirements for entrance to the chosen course. Let me give you an example. If you wanted to study engineering at any of the universities, there are quite a few prerequisites. You need to study generally math methods, math specialist, maybe physics or chemistry. If you want to study nutrition, then chemistry is a prerequisite. So we need to make sure that if you are taking ATAR subjects or ATAR courses, it is important that you do consider the prerequisites first to make sure you meet them with whatever your goal is in mind. And then sometimes if you're not sure what other courses to take, have a look at the desirables, because they can actually give you some clue as to where your strengths may need to lie to be really successful in your degree course. So the minimum ATAR for universities here in WA is 70, and it's 80 for UWA. There are often some boost programs, step-up programs that will allow, let's say if you manage to get an ATAR of 65, they will step you up to 70 in some circumstances. And there are lots of alternative entry programs for ATAR and non-ATAR students to universities. You may have heard of those. They're bridging courses or enabling programs. So here is a number of the alternative entry methods to the various universities here in WA. I'm not going to go through them all now, but you can see there are lots of them. And at Kent Street Senior High School, we are so fortunate that we have two of our very own alternative pathways to university. So the first one that I'd like to talk about is the Year 12 Uni Ready program. Uni Ready is considered to be an endorsed program. It includes 4 individual units, and each unit on completion, on successful completion, will give you a C grade. This is a Year 12 program. It has been running for the last 2 years here at Kent Street, and it's become quite successful. The other option is if you are looking to do some sort of health industry study, then you can look at taking the Cert 4 preparation for health and nursing studies. 2022 is the first year that's been in operation here at Kent Street, but it's going very, very well at the moment as well. Both Year 11 and Year 12 students can take that course. Both of these courses, the Uni Ready Enabling Programme and the Certificate for Preparation for Health and Nursing Studies, are both 1-year courses. Year 11s can't do Uni Ready, but Year 11s and Year 12s can do the Cert 4. To be a Year 11 student, however, to do the Cert 4, you would need to be on A and B grades in science to be able to cope with the rigour and demands of that course, and you would need to have passed your ULNA as well. So if you're not considering ATAR, it is really important when we undertake our course selection process that you have the end in mind. I don't need you to come to the course counselling interviews with ideas of every single subject that you want to take, but certainly a career direction, so an industry type, be it health or construction, and then we can work it out from there. In fact, if you've got a couple of ideas, that's fine too, and then we can help you tailor a pathway that suits you best. So on this particular slide, if you are a general student, so this is not applicable to ATAR students, just general students, you are able to take advantage of a variety of courses made available by TAFEs, Skill Hire, the College of Electrical Training, Plumbing and Painting, the MPA. And they basically tailor pathways for you to your specific industry direction. There's lots of choices. There's lots of exciting things that you can do. And you would complete a Certificate 2 or a Certificate 3 in something. There are lots and lots and lots of choices, but it certainly puts you on a very successful pathway into and a leg up, if you like, into your life beyond Year 12. So here's a list of all the courses that we do at TAFE. This list is not complete. In fact, when we sit down and do our course counselling, I will have the complete list with me, and I will be able to check to see if there's something suitable for you that will help you get towards the direction that you're heading in. So aero skills, mechanical pre-apprenticeship, a lot of our aviation students like to do that particular course. We have animal studies. Fashion students quite often like to continue on their fashion journey and do the certificate to applied fashion at Bentley TAFE. We have a number of students who want to be, let's say, working in some sort of design or graphic design or makeup field. So the certificate 3 in makeup is really good for that too. A lot of these courses can be really competitive, which means that what you need to be able to apply for one of these is a resume. And if your resume includes things like sporting teams that you may be part of, work experience that you've already done in an industry that you are applying for, work experience, jobs that you currently have as well, all of those things will make your application much, much stronger and much easier to access these courses. The certificate to automotive, for example, is highly competitive. So you do need to make your resume and your application stand out from the rest. It's also important that if you do want to go and take advantage of one of these external options, your grades are really important. So please don't drop the ball. Keep trying in class and do aim for those C grades, because a lot of the applications for these do require you to, they are competitive. So students with the highest grades and best resumes, unfortunately, will be allocated these spots. We are more than happy, however, to help you with your resume. You just need to do your part and ensure your school reports are an example of your abilities and your attitude as well. There's some more courses that we do. So cabin crew, early childhood education and care. The new one is the surveying and spatial information services, which is great if you want to be a surveyor, work on mine sites, things like that. The autonomous operations course was new last year, and that's going particularly well. It's been designed by Rio Tinto and in partnership with South Metro TAFE as well. A lot of the pre-apps are great because any of these pre-apprenticeships include a work experience component, and when you have a work experience and a pre-app combined together, often it leads directly into employment. So some of our students that complete the pre-apps in year 11 will be offered apprenticeships prior to the end of year 12 and may or may not return to school for year 12 and may or may not complete their WACE depending on their specific circumstances. So some of you may not know what apprenticeships are or traineeships are, so I thought I might explain them. We do actually have some school-based apprenticeships and school-based traineeships made available to students. Quite often they are in things like childcare or hospitality or business. But these particular apprenticeships and traineeships slide that I've got at the moment directly relates to beyond school. So usually there are no entry requirements for apprenticeships and traineeships, and you apply directly to the employer. However, an employer is going to want students generally that have got a driving license, that have got a clean record, that have got great grades, that have passed their WACE. So, an employer is going to want to choose a person with the highest grades, with the driving license that looks best on paper, because that's all they've got to go off. If you've got some work experience or an industry qualification that relates directly to your apprenticeship or traineeship, that's going to be highly regarded and place you higher in the pile than other people that may be below you. Okay, so apprenticeships generally are what we refer to as trade qualifications. So they will take 3 to 4 years to complete. They will give you a certificate 3 qualification, and they're usually in areas like building construction, automotive, engineering, a chef. A chef is an apprenticeship. Hairdressing is an apprenticeship. However, traineeships tend to be much shorter. They tend not to be the trade, the typical trade sort of industry scope. So traineeships will take 1 to 2 years. They will be from a certificate 2 all the way up to advanced diplomas, and they're usually in areas like IT, business, beauty, health, or community services. At the moment, we are currently advertising apprenticeships through sector notices. So all the big companies at the moment are asking for apprenticeships or apprentices to apply for apprenticeships for the 2023 year right now. So we're currently encouraging our year 11 and 12 students looking for apprenticeships to apply for those directly now. And that will be the same for you guys when you, in a couple of years' time when you're ready to look for apprenticeships as well. So how do you determine your pathway? Well, there's lots of ways that you can decide what you want to do. Remember that in homeroom, your Year 10 child has had a number of presentations just recently considering how to determine what you want to do when you leave school. And they have all gone through the My Future website to try and determine interests, skills, values, to give more ideas. You can do that at home as well. So there's lots of websites there that you can have a look at. You can always have some work experience. Work experience is great. Try trades are fabulous because not only do they tell you what you do want to do in your future, but they tell you what you really don't want to be doing as well. We have our career, and so my office here is in the Cave here at Kent Street, but we also have a fabulous careers practitioner, Luke Watson, who's available to talk to anybody as well, and he's located in student services. So it's just important that we take one successful step at a time. We work together and we do build a prosperous, individualised pathway for you. Okay, back to now. What's going to happen next year and the year after when you get into Year 11 and Year 12? So I wanted to show you the courses that are currently offered at Kent Street, and last week I did bring all the students one of these books. This is our 2023 Year 11 Curriculum Handbook. So every single Year 10 student should have one of these, and if you don't have one, if I didn't bring one to you, please go and see your HAS or your English teacher. They've got your copy saved safely with your name on it so you can have it. It's also available on Sector, and it's also available for download on our website as well, should you need to find another copy of it. So the important parts of this booklet is just to show you what courses are available for students in Year 11 and Year 12. You can see from the column on the left where it says ATAR courses, that is a list of every single ATAR course that's available here at Kent Street for next year. It doesn't say that it's going to run because all the courses depend on numbers. So they're currently being offered, but the determination on whether the course will run or not will be based on numbers. The same with our general courses as well. So on the right-hand side, you can see there's a list of general courses that students can choose between as well. You can also see that there is List A and List B next to every course. Miss Rachel would have told you earlier in her presentation that students must do a List A and must do a List B subject. List A is easy to satisfy because English is a List A and English is compulsory, so everybody will automatically have a List A subject. The List Bs are a little bit more difficult. The rest of this book will detail some fine detail of every single one of these courses. So if you're not sure what a course entails, it's a good idea to read that section of the book so that you are fully informed. We then have some certificate qualifications that are available, and these are the ones that are running within school. So they're timetabled like normal classes within school. So these particular 5 certificate courses are available to all students, ATAR and General. If you choose to go off-site to study one of the courses that I showed you before through TAFE, only general students are able to access those. ATAR students need to be in school 5 days a week. Okay, so how do we determine what we're going to choose? Well, look, it depends. It depends on your past performance in the learning area. It depends on what you're interested in, what your strengths are, what future studies you plan to do. Are there any prerequisites? Are you doing ATAR or are you doing VET or general pathway? So it really does depend what you choose, depending on what you intend to do in your future. And that's where we come in. So that's why we sit down, we have a chat. You don't need to bring, if you've got some ideas on what courses that you might like to do, that's fabulous, bring them along, but we'll fill in the course selection form together, and I will guide you in choosing the right pathway that works for you, that absolutely works for you. So if you are doing ATAR courses next year, that's your plan. So that means that you've passed your OLNA, you're on A and B grades, you've been recommended by your teachers. Then the best thing to do is choose 5 ATAR courses that you love. If you love a subject, you are more than likely to do well at that course. If you have to work really, really hard, it makes it less satisfying. So try and choose courses that you love. Most courses at university that require an ATAR of 70 don't actually have any prerequisites. So it doesn't matter which ATAR courses you take, just as long as you have 5. And then when you've taken the 5 that you want, please do choose a general or a vet course that you're going to enjoy. You've already got 5 ATAR courses. That's going to be hard work and lots of study. So take a general or a vet course that you think that will be complementary, that you love, or that you think that it might be just a little bit of break for you. Okay, don't chase subjects that you think are harder. I think I said that already, because the harder they are, the harder you have to work, and then we get a little bit despondent if our grades are not quite as good. So it's best to take the ones that you enjoy. Don't chase bonus points, because if we do certainly have methods specialist in Japanese that will attract the 5% bonus. But if you start to chase those bonus points, but again those courses are particularly hard and you don't particularly enjoy them, then it's not necessarily as beneficial as you might think it would be. And do ensure you consider the uni prerequisites and do have a look at the desirables, because the background information and knowledge you will gain in your ATAR courses will set you up really well to be successful at university. Now, if you're going to be a general student and you're on a vet pathway, then think about what you want to be at the end of year 12, or what courses you might like to study at TAFE at the end of year 12. What industry do you want to work in? Do you have a specific job in mind? And then you're going to tailor your choices to support your pathway. I've got some examples here. So basically, look, English, everyone's got to do English. You've got to take 6 courses. English is the first. Maths, you probably should take maths. Maths is really beneficial to pretty much anyone and everything. And certainly if you haven't passed your ulnar numeracy, then we will be ensuring that maths is on your list. Then we're going to have 4 more choices. So it's good to try and cluster your choices to head towards the direction you want to go in. So let's choose to lead towards your pathway to support what you want to do. And then leave your final choice for something that you just really, really enjoy. So you can see from this slide here that ATAR students will choose 5 ATAR courses and 1 general and no vet, or they might choose 5 ATAR courses and no general and 1 vet certificate, or they might choose 6 ATAR courses. General students, I might just move a little bit out of the way here. There you go. So you might choose 6 general courses, or 5 and 1 certificate off-site, 5 and 1 certificate at school, maybe 4 plus 1 at school and 1 off-site, or maybe 4 general courses and 2 certificates at school. So the choice is yours. And like I said, we will guide you through this when we sit down together and have a conversation. Okay, let me just try and get my page to turn. There we go. Okay, so I'm sorry I'm in the middle of this particular image here, but just recently students were shown these slides. They're supposed to give you some idea of how to choose your subjects based on what you might want to do. So if you wanted to be a nurse and work in the medical field, allied health, aged care, something like that, then English because it's compulsory, maths because it's a good idea, and then we have a number of courses there that we run in school that really do support a nursing pathway. So choose between human biology, health, psychology. Cert 3 population health is a great course if you are a CD type student at school in year 10. This is a great way to lead into nursing and take you that next step beyond school. Remember, the Cert 4 prep for nursing in school is only available to students on A and B grades. So if you're not eligible for the prep for nursing course in school, leave that till year 12. We can do it in year 12 and do the Cert 3 population health in year 11. Okay, lots of students often tell me they want to work in the mines, and I tell students, well, that's a location, it's not actually a job. So tell me what you want to be. Do you want to be a truck driver? Do you want to be a cleaner? Do you want to be a cook? Do you want to do the surveying or the geology? What is it that you want to do? And that's what you need to think about first. So again, though, English, because we have to, maths because it's a good idea. The Certificate 2 Autonomous Operations is great. That's all to do with driving the remote controlled trucks and trains from Perth. The Surveying and Spatial Information Services has just started at TAFE last year, and it's doing really well. And there's also a sampling and measurement course that you could consider at TAFE as well, 1 day a week. In school, we should be looking at EES or geography. So just some ideas for you. You want to trade. Well, look, the thing about trades is they all come down to the same basics. They all come down to using hand tools, using power tools, and using simple drawings. So it doesn't matter whether you're doing metalwork, woodwork, or building construction. They're all going to assist you becoming a tradesman, whether that's a plumber, an electrician, an engineering tradesperson, it won't matter. In fact, we recently went to a try-trade with some students at MPA, and the first thing that they were given as plumbers, where they had to dig some trenches and do some pipe fitting work, was they were given a diagram. They were given a plan, so they knew what they were working with. So look, as far as a trade goes, we have a Cert 2 Engineering Pathways here at school, which is a great course. And we also have a Certificate 2 Building Construction course, which is a pre-apprenticeship at TAFE. Quite often that does lead directly to employment. There's also a Cert 2 Engineering Pre-App as well. It's a 1-year course that the students that take that really want to be wanting to leave school to get an apprenticeship. So we can talk about that during our meetings as well. Okay, so fashion and any creative industry. We have art, drama, photography, the Cert 2 Applied Fashion at TAFE. I'll just quickly go through these now. Perhaps you might want to work in film and TV. And again, very much creative industries. They do a Certificate 3 in Screen and Media at TAFE that would work really, really well with this. We also do our own photography and media here at school. And of course, drama, maybe subjects that you should be considering. If you want to be a sound engineer, the Certificate 2 Music has actually become a music general course, but still should be considered. And the Certificate 2 Music could actually be completed at TAFE as well. So there's lots and lots of options that we have here that can be tailored to suit all facets of industry. So finally, our final part for today is the course selection process and what happens next. So all Year 10s have been having presentations on the structure and requirements of senior schooling. It is quite complicated. You've heard a little bit about it today from Miss Rachel. The students have heard it a few times in the last couple of weeks, but from myself as well. So it'll start to sink in. There's lots of rules around it, but we will help you with that. The first thing you're going to need to do is schedule an interview with a course counsellor using PTO. So PTO is the parent-teacher online. You will find it on the school website, and you will be able to click on that, and then you'll be able to book an appointment with either myself or Luke Watson, who is our careers practitioner. So you'll complete the 6 choices, the 6 selections, and we are going to need to have some reserves. Reserves choices are really important for us, just in case classes are full or if certain classes aren't running. So reserves are going to be an important part of this process. Your choices will be entered on the computer, and then decisions will be made as to which courses are viable based on numbers, and reserves will be used, obviously, if we have to. And then if we need to recounsel, that will happen too. So we need you to make an interview time. So interview appointments can be made for any times available between 8 a.m. and up to 5:20 on some days of the week, and you can use the online booking PTO, as I mentioned before. The dates that we're going to be available, we're going to start on Tuesday the 7th, so after the long weekend, and we'll go all the way through till the end of week 9, which is Friday the 24th of June. The interviews will take 20 minutes, and we ideally would have the student, your child, along with parents or guardians, please, because it's important that we all embrace this process and we all have a common goal and we all work together to help us be successful in achieving that goal. Now, you might be concerned that, oh my God, we've chosen 6 subjects. What happens if I've made a mistake? What happens if I need to change? Well, it's actually okay. We will work with you all the way through Year 11. If we need to make some tweaks in your pathway, we can absolutely do that. And we're on your side and we are committed to your success. So in Year 11, we can make some changes in the first couple of weeks, but then at some point, we do need to see the semester out. So we can then make changes at the end of semester 1 in Year 11, and we can also make some changes at the end of end of year 11 going into year 12. It gets a little bit more difficult to change subjects after the first couple of weeks of year 12 due to some rules set down by the authority. So we have to work within the guidelines that we have, but we're always here, happy to chat and happy to tweak and refine your pathway to ensure we are committed to your success as well. Okay, so changing courses in year 12, like I just mentioned, we can only change up until the end of term 1, and after that we can only withdraw. So we tend not to make too many changes in year 12 beyond the first couple of weeks. Now, you may be wondering, how can you find out more information? What can you do to assist your child if they are really struggling as to determine which direction they're heading? So there is the Year 10 Handbook, which is available on the authority's website, and the website is there for you to note down if you wish to and follow, or just Google the Year 10 Handbook from SCASA and you will equally find it just as easy. This is the My Future website that students have been using, so myfuture.edu.au. If a student wants to log in and show you what they've been doing, and maybe you want to have a chat with them about it, log into the website using their school email address, and you'll be able to help them come up with some plans if they haven't already. The program's really good because it allows you to click on, for example, their interests or skills, and it collates all the information to give you some career pathways that might be individually tailored and unique to your young person. There's also some career bullseyes there as well, which are quite interesting to use. So if, for example, if you know that your child loves art, for example, you can click on the art bullseye and you can come up with a lot of career ideas based on that. If your child loves PE, then pick on the PE bullseye, and you'll find lots of career opportunities that are specific to PE. So there's lots of ways we can attack this to come up with some plans. There's lots of brochures out. This one in particular is available off the school's Kent Street Senior High School Careers and Pathways Facebook page. You'll be able to download it from there, or just Google it and you will find this document and be able to work through some ideas with your young person. We also have the Skills Road website. That's another way that you can help your young person develop a career path and just start to open these conversations. And again, SCASA also have a fair bit of student information and information for parents in the community in support of developing successful pathways for your young person. Okay. Alrighty, so there's a couple more links there as well. Now, so we're very, very close to the end here now. So I do thank you for your time. I hope you stayed with me all the way through till the end. I very much look forward to meeting with you when we do discuss your young person's selections for senior school. If you do want to get hold of me between now and then, my name again is Angela Bartels, and I'm more than happy for you to contact me at any time to discuss your young person's individual pathway plan for their future. Okay, that's it from me. So thank you again, and I will see you during the subject selection interviews. Thank you.